Let's go. Hey folks, welcome to another Ask Us Anything call. You'll notice there's an extra face on the screen today. That is Chris Badgett. Chris Badgett, owner, founder of LifterLMS. He's with us today because we have some exciting stuff to talk about with LifterLMS. Let's just get to it, right? That's what we're doing. Emily's with us as well. We'll be here for the next hour or so. We're here to take questions live. So if this is your first time coming to an Ask Us Anything call, I want to encourage you to ask questions in the chat. So that's how we're able to communicate with you, whatever channel you're on, whether it's Twitch, Facebook, YouTube, whatever. Just put in the comments and we can catch up with you there. Before we talk about big, exciting things, that are available the 1st through 3rd this month, I want to talk about the 55% off coupon that we make available all the time through the Ask Us Anything call. So if you watch these or you watch the replay and you think to yourself, man, I really want to get involved with LifterLMS, I want to get started, you can get a 55% off coupon by going to lifterlms.com/AMA-gift. That is /AMA-gift. We'll be talking about things available the 1st through 3rd of July today. But after that, if you still want to make a purchase at 55% off, you can go to lifterlms.com/AMA-gift. Chris, before I turn it over to you, I do want to give Delphine a huge shout out. She is super, super loyal. She's here all the time, like almost every week. She's here from British Columbia, Canada. She's always representing the up north crew for us. And then Gary usually comes with her too. So Delphine, welcome. And Chris, over to you.
Awesome. Well, I'm going to be here for the full hour and happy to take any questions or help out with the Ask Me Anything. But I did want to let everybody know who's watching this that today is the last day of our LifterLMS Infinity Bundle lifetime license sale. So we dramatically reduced the price down to $2,999. And we've also thrown in over $2,000 of bonuses. And I'll tell you about those in a second, but essentially what the LifterLMS lifetime license is it's access to the Infinity Bundle, which is all the software we make. You pay once, you never have to pay again for life. And that's like 25, I think, different add-ons. It's all of everything LifterLMS makes, from the e-commerce to our theme, to our advanced features like groups and advanced videos and many others. And why people like to get lifetime licenses is, as you've noticed, perhaps when building websites for yourself or for clients, sometimes those annual costs just start adding up. And then when you really like a piece of software and you plan on using it for a while, it just makes sense to get the lifetime license. And it's also important to note that the LifterLMS lifetime license is good for unlimited sites. So if you're a WordPress professional or agency and you just want to have LifterLMS in your toolkit forever and just have that available without ever having to pay more, you can use it on as many client sites as you like. Or perhaps you're a prolific education entrepreneur like Kurt, who's making courses and things about all kinds of different things. And maybe you have multiple websites and you're just a DIY subject matter expert that likes to do a bunch of different projects, then a lifetime license can really make a lot of sense. And in terms of the bonuses, these are only available with the lifetime license if it's purchased before the end of our 3-day sale, which today is the last day, July 3rd. So we have a limited edition LifterLMS t-shirt shipped anywhere in the world. Emily helped me design one a couple years ago. And using those skills and tricks that I learned from Emily, we've got a sweet t-shirt design. Kurt's got up the offers on the lifetime page. I'm also going to put a link here in the chat wherever you're watching this. It has some pictures of the shirt and some other stuff. It's a blog post that kind of goes with the lifetime sale. So I'll just drop that in the chat. So you get the shirt shipped anywhere in the world. That's like a $30 value. It's actually more than that if you're going to force me to ship it to some country that's far away. But I'm happy to do it. We've shipped shirts all over the world, and some countries have a big like import tax and all this different stuff. But don't worry about it; it's all included. Um, and then the other thing we have is a strategic growth session with me. That's an hour-long call I do to help you with your business on a strategy level, and it's one of my unique abilities. I love dropping in and kind of zooming in on your biggest challenges and goals. Got lots of frameworks, tools, tips, and strategies to help kind of unlock growth or remove challenges that are in your way. That's recorded. You get a copy of it. It can be super valuable. So if that's something that's of interest to you, that's included. And then the big bonus we have is called the Perfect Offer Playbook. It's a new cohort-based course that we're launching next week. So this goes live. The actual course starts in 6 days on Wednesday, July 9th, I believe. And what I realized after, working with tens or hundreds of thousands of course creators and being in this space for over 15 years is I've seen some education entrepreneurs be successful, even if they have not the best looking website, or, even they'll say it themselves. I'm not very good at marketing yet. I was able to replace my job or make a really good income way above what I used to be making. Or even if it's a modest win site, but it's working and they have traction. Uh, the reason that happens is because they have the very first step, which is building a compelling offer. And that is a lot harder to do than it sounds. And we have this whole expert's curse thing going on that, kind of makes it hard for us, particularly if you don't have a background in building a startup before, or copywriting, or marketing, or pricing, or instructional design. All of these things kind of come together at a foundational step called creating an offer. And I realized that even a lot of Lifter LMS users will get the software, and they'll have great software and they'll study marketing and things like that. But if the offer is not good, is the project's never going to work in the long term. So I want to give you everything I have in terms of creating a compelling offer. And this is something that I've studied for probably 20 years. It's literally the difference between entrepreneurship that works and doesn't. But also what it does is it makes everything that comes after the offer, from building the website, setting your price, to designing the course, and if you're going to do coaching program, all of that gets way easier with a lot more clarity, a lot less friction, a lot less time, a lot less frustration. So I'm really excited about the Perfect Offer Playbook. I'll put a link to that in the chat if you just want to read about it. There's a whole page about um, the Perfect Offer Playbook. It is going to be delivered live, but we are going to record those sessions. So if the time is not convenient for you, it's a 9-week, essentially 9-lesson, 3-module program. And I'm going to have a lot of fun teaching this. We've already got a lot of the lessons designed and ready to roll. And you're also going to be able to ask questions and dig in as we deliver this. So this is going to be fun. That's a huge bonus. I'm putting a lot into it. So go check out the Perfect Offer Playbook. And if you want to get the lifetime deal and get these bonuses, today is the last day to do that. If you're an existing Lifter LMS customer, be sure to email the team ASAP and just write LTD upgrade in the subject line or in the message of your email. And what we will do is we'll prorate the remaining value on your current license, so you can get an even bigger discount because you already have some value with your current active license there. So that's a lifetime deal. I'll hand it back over to you, Kurt. Any comments or questions that pop up for you. And I'm going to be around this whole hour and help with the Q&A as well.
Yeah, well, I gotta point out to the people watching, this whole episode is dependent upon your participation. So if you have any questions, put them in chat. If you've got something to discuss, put it in chat. We want to make sure we address everybody that has a question, comment, or concern. So it's there for you. Sometimes we have some pre-submitted questions. Today we did not have pre-submitted questions, so we're here for you. I do want to drive back to something that you were talking about, though, Chris, and it's more of a, it might even be awkward for you because I'm just being nice, I guess. But I remember when I launched the Power Sport Academy, and I had, a decade of commercial instructional design work right at the corporate level. And I fancied myself an expert on certain things. And I was trying to market this course. But this was different because I was used to creating courses in a corporate framework where you created the course, you designed the course, and then you assigned 200 students to it, or you assigned 500 students to it. And so I was accustomed to that. And after a year of launching Power Sport Academy, I really didn't have much to show for the effort, like as far as revenue and customers and sales and stuff went. And, this was not like an official session. Like I worked with Chris, so, don't think I had to like send him a credit card number or anything. But he was on a call with me one day and he said, "Oh, let's just take a quick look at your website." And we pulled it up and he goes, "A lot of people look at the first heading above the fold. And what does yours say?" And mine was like talking about how wonderful the course was. And he was like, "Yeah, that's not going to make anybody buy nothing." He was like, what problem? Like, what's the biggest problem you fix for the people that would purchase the course? And then that changed. So who was I marketing to? I was marketing to the people I would train, not the people that would buy the course and assign those people to be trained. My message was about how awesome I am and how smart my course is. It wasn't about what's the problem that my course is going to fix, not for the person that takes the course, but for the person that buys the course. And so Chris had led me down a pathway of modifying the offer. And I'm going to tell you, it took me 3-4 tries at different 30, 60, 90-day intervals to say, okay, A/B test this, A/B test that, try this, try the other thing. And eventually we stumbled onto something that works, and I've been able to generate revenue through the project. The project itself, in its space, in its niche, is, just be honest with you, it's unmatched. Like there's nobody that is in my space that's doing what I'm doing or getting the results that I get through that course. But that doesn't matter if I don't have anyone taking the course or paying for the course. And so Chris's really quick advice in that regard put me on a different path. And it still took me a year to start making real sales off of it. But, now I'm 5 years into that project and it's creating revenue. So that to me is when you say that that's one of the bonuses to the lifetime deal, that's definitely like a shining star in the list of bonuses.
Yeah, not only will you get great training on offer creation, you also get the one-on-one call with me if you want to go deep on your specific use case. And I started thinking about what LifterLMS essentially does is it allows you to create, launch, and scale a high-value online learning program. But even me making an offer of like, okay, what can we create here? I'm like, well, I could show them how to create the website. Well, we've done a lot of that. That's what the Quick Start course is, and thousands of documentation and YouTube videos. But where's the friction for LMS agencies and do-it-yourself site builders? I'm like, a lot of people get distracted. And this is the expert's curse, like you're talking about. You've been in the industry in your niche for decades. So sometimes the fundamental stuff of offer creation gets missed or overlooked, or assumptions are made. And anyway, so I started trimming it down. Like, okay, well, I'm not going to show them how to launch the website. I'm not going to show them how to scale what they already have. I can do all that, but I kept niching down of like, what is the core problem that either prevents people from launching successfully, or that's holding people back that are already launched and trying to figure out what's going on because they're smart they've got a nice website and they've got great content. I realize it's offer construction, and that doesn't mean you don't ever pivot the offer. Like you mentioned, you had a major pivot of who you're selling to, and that's just one slice of like what an offer is composed of. And nobody teaches this stuff. I realize that. I realize that like offer creation is key. And I've seen Emily as an example do with her agency. Part of her offer is like, I'll get on a call with you. We'll build this together. We're going to have this rapid, development process together and bounce off each other and do it this way. And that's a unique offer, in the space. And I've seen that work really well for clients that want that kind of engagement. And that's just like a piece of an offer. I call that like the support mechanism. Like what is the experience we're designing, and how is it different? How is it unique? How does it play to your strengths, and so on? But Emily, would you comment on how you decided to, kind of factor that into your offer? Because this is just a small part of offer creation, but when I saw it, I'm like, that's a great offer. But tell us more.
Yeah. I really wanted to make an offer that I could deliver sustainably. And for my business, having people work with me live was always more fun and engaging for me. So to build a better product, to upgrade over time, to develop my brand, increase my rates, and do all the things that I need to do for the business to grow over time, I realized like one thing that we really need to integrate is my ADHD and my ability to like speak with the client one-on-one and be like, okay, I get confused when you email me too many times with so many text boxes. I don't even know what you're referring to. Let's get on live and sort this out. It might feel like we're going a little bit slower at the moment, but the clients who really stick with the process see the momentum that we can generate when we have clear communication up front. So it ended up being like a value add that made the business easier for me to participate in. It made it easier for me to deliver my product and more valuable to the clients who are looking for that product, because it was a little bit more of a niche thing to watch someone live as a web developer build your website. And now that I've spent just thousands of hours in WordPress over the better part of a decade, it's kind of like going to the Subway sandwich shop or like the pizza shop and watching someone like whip up a sandwich for you or whip up a pizza for you, but we're working with tech, building a WordPress website. And so it's kind of a fun experience too.
Yeah, and playing to your strengths is such a key part. And like Kurt, you're such a master communicator and just a guide and a people person that I can see it how you do that in your agency Mañana No Mas, and how that resonates with people and like leading these calls and stuff. Like you're so good at like holding space and facilitating a process. This comes from your experience as a trainer, and that shows through whenever I see you make an offer in your projects or at LifterLMS or in your agency. And so playing to your strengths and who you are as a person really helps with offer creation. And again, that's just a small piece of a compelling offer.
For me, when I think back about when I really got started with Lifter, and it's been 10 years now that I started using Lifter. When I think back, I think about when I was the corporate training manager at a large company, and the company didn't want internal employees to make training products, right? They want you to manage vendors doing things, right? Like that's kind of their thing. And so I would have to reach out. Now I was making websites for people on the side. I was always like a hobbyist, right? Doing my thing. And Mañana No Mas had been an agency before. And so, but I had this corporate job, and I said, I could build you an LMS for 1/10 of what you're paying these other people to do this. Oh, no, we're not ready for that kind of change yet. Stick with the plan. Okay. And then every time we had to make a change, or we asked for like change the heading, or let's add this new course, or my department made the material, made the copy. We were in charge of all that, but we had to give the content to the vendor for placement on the site. And I can remember it would be like pulling teeth to get things done. I would say, change the heading on the homepage. And they would say, we'll schedule that for 2 Thursdays from today. And I would just curl up inside and die a little bit, because I'm like, I know that somebody at that office can sign into that website and change that heading in 30 seconds. Why am I waiting 2.5 weeks to get something done? And so I dealt with this and dealt with this and dealt with this. And so when you say you notice the way that I run Mañana No Mas is based on communication and stuff, that's 100%. The whole idea of Mañana No Mas is we don't go past deadlines. We don't ask people for more money. We honor the budget. We honor the calendar. We get things done. I have always, ever since we started, I'm like, how can I institute more tools or more processes so that the client always has transparency and visibility on where we're at on their project? Like, that's my thing. Because when I was a corporate guy, I never knew what was going on with our projects. I would have to go into meetings with vice presidents and presidents that would say, we need a status update on XYZ. And I'm like, hell if I know. We sent them a check 3 months ago and they still haven't given us anything, and it was impossible to get feedback. And so that's one of the things that I'm really focused on when I run my agency. But I think if we think about how everyone that we meet runs their own business, isn't it really kind of like that? Like, it's almost like if there was something your parents did that you hated, you try to raise your kids in a way that avoids the thing that your parents did that you hated, right?
Yeah.
So it's kind of that. Kate's being super nice here. What do we say? Just to confirm, if I buy today's Infinity offer, private areas is included. Kate, not only that, tell you what, today only, we're going to include groups, social learning, all of that is going to come with your Infinity purchase. Infinity includes all of the add-ons that LifterLMS produces. There are some things that you'll see on our recommended resources page. Those are third-party offers, right? So not those. So like, even if you see like LifterLMS is made by Tangible. That's different. That's not one of the LifterLMS add-ons. But if you go and you look at our pricing page and you scroll down, you're going to see all of the different add-ons we have. Kate, you get all of that with the Infinity. And of course, Emily's in there hitting you up in chat to let you know that that is true. All of the products. I should hit you up on Slack and ask you before I ask you on screen. I'm really excited. I have a customer that wants to try social learning, but then I know that we're going to be upgrading soon on social learning. I'm really excited about it, but the cat's going to be out of the bag soon. Is there anything you can share?
It's probably next week, I'm guessing. The launch is coming very soon. Essentially, I believe it's Social Learning 2.0 is about to come out. And what social learning is it's like a Facebook-like experience, like a group, but on your website. And we've launched social learning probably 6 years ago, but we've just gone through a major overhaul and improved it in tons of ways, so that it just has more features. It has more privacy controls. So let's say your topic is super sensitive and people don't really want to be public that they're a member of this group or whatever, they can do that. Or let's say your social community is so open that you want the whole public internet to see what all the members are saying and doing. You can do that too, and everything in between. We added some privacy stuff around, like if an individual member wants to kind of be invisible and not seen on the site at all, totally possible. We've got a bunch of accessibility updates, so people in social learning communities with disabilities have a better experience, which is actually super cool and important. There are a lot of sometimes online can have a higher than average number of folks with disabilities because it's easier to engage from a computer for various reasons. So we paid attention to those folks, the ability to add images in the social posts, a bunch of controls over what automatically posts in the community area and stuff. So there's just a ton of updates. It's coming really soon. It's yeah, that's a great thing. And that's a good thing about getting lifetime. So when Lifter does stuff like that, for example, we recently improved our private coaching add-on called Private Areas in a major way. All those future innovations, which we never stop innovating, over time, you're getting all that stuff, and you've cut any future expenses you have for the software.
Well, and like I said, I maybe jumped the gun there, and you've been extremely generous with your answer, so I appreciate that. As a true transparency thing to people listening at home or watching the replay, I'm not an outsider per se, but I'm not an insider either. Like, I'm not on the development team. I don't, sometimes Chris says, "Oh, we got this new thing," and I go, "Oh, I better learn it before the next call." It's kind of how that goes. So when I heard that we were going to revamp social learning, I got super excited. And that was a generous answer. You didn't have to go that deep, actually. So that's cool. I want to go back. So I've been on Infinity since 2014, 15, something like that. I've been an Infinity user. We didn't have notes back then. We didn't have groups back then. We did have social learning, I thought, back then, but not like it wasn't ubiquitous, right? It wasn't like this thing that was just like assumed, because now everybody wants to have a community tool in their website, right? And that's right there. It gives you a discussion group for each membership or course. Now I'm going to be like, I don't want to mention other names. Other LMSs, and I've used a ton, I don't see that level of development, continuous improvement. I know continuous improvement is one of the mantras of the company, but you just don't see it. So like when Notes came out, I thought that was kind of a game changer too, right? So like each student has the ability to create notes, print those notes to PDF, and they can get their notes through the dashboard. We covered that on this call multiple times, but it's like important to note, like that's pretty new. The groups change that you made, was that last year, Chris? 2024?
With the groups e-commerce?
Groups e-commerce was 2024, right?
Yeah.
Groups as a manual tool was phenomenal, and a ton of people were using groups. But in the background was always this weird, like, hidden promise that it's going to be able to do e-commerce soon. We just have to figure out blah, blah, blah. And now through the native payment gateway and Lifter, groups automates with e-commerce. People can choose how many seats they want, create their own group, and it automates the whole process. It used to be a completely manual process for the course creator to run the website and manage. Now it's completely automated. It's pretty phenomenal. And that rolled out. And then private areas came along and kind of surprised me, to be honest. And when we went through private areas the first couple of times on these Ask Us Anything calls or on the office hours call that we do every week as well, I didn't recognize the depth of the change. Right. And then we went over it, I think 2 weeks ago, Emily and Emily was screen sharing it and got in a little bit deeper on how private areas is now connected to automations. And then we can automate certain things and invite people to conversations on an automated trigger. And it's like, whoa, wait a minute. This is different. Like this is pretty cool. And then we started to notice different ways that we could actually use that tool. And so as an Infinity user, to be able to have been in the space as long as I have and see the continuous improvement, and having used other platforms at the same time, because I do stuff for other clients, the other tools they're not on that schedule. They're not doing continuous improvement. So it's really interesting to see this happen.
Yeah, I appreciate you saying that. The continuous improvement is part of what we do. And like some other companies, LMS plugins, community plugins and stuff have sold. And sometimes when companies sell to or when software sells to another company, it's not that they don't care or don't continue to improve the product, but it's very common for innovation and the pace and like sort of that founder-led momentum to kind of slow down drastically. That can happen. And luckily we have a lot of great people like Kurt and Emily and Brian and Nadia and Nick and Alex and Jason and Kim involved in LifterLMS, and we just keep going. We just keep doing our thing. And for me personally, as the original, one of the original founders, I'm not bored. I love this problem we focus on, and I'm still having fun. And I wouldn't offer a lifetime deal if we weren't going to be around for a long time. I'm just having way too much fun, and I believe way too much in our mission and vision at LifterLMS.
Well, I'm looking to see if anyone's put any questions in or any concerns. So I just want to voice again, if you have a question, comment, concern about Lifter LMS, we welcome it. Put it in comments. That's how we know to jump on something and answer something for you. But in the meantime, while I'm waiting for feedback from you out there, Chris, I was just going to ask you, because this is the Ask Us Anything call, and we have a lot of people that use Lifter that come to the call, but we also have people that have never used Lifter come to the call. Sometimes it's intimidating. Like, you're like, I have an idea for a course, or my company needs me to create this learning thing. Like, I've been told I got to figure this out. And not everybody wants to be a WordPress expert. Not everybody wants to be, people want to focus on their strengths, not necessarily focus on their weakness, right? So can you talk a little bit to the expert program, how you determine if someone's an expert or not, and how to access the expert program?
Absolutely. So let me start with first just the 5 hats problem, which is that for one of these LMS projects to be successful, you or in combination with working with a team or other people have to be able to wear 5 hats, which is to be a subject matter expert, a teacher, a technologist, an entrepreneur, and a community builder. So the projects that I've noticed are the most successful is either you are a unicorn and you have sufficient levels of skills across all those areas, or what's more common is that a subject matter expert will pair up with a technology expert and really get those hats covered through a team. And so one of the big questions we get is people get excited about Lifter LMS and they're like, this is awesome, ready to roll. But I'm not sure. I've watched the Lifter LMS Quick Start course. I kind of see the basics, but can I just get somebody to build the site for me? So we got that question so much. That's why we introduced the Lifter LMS Experts program. So if you go to lifterlms.com/experts, you'll see that those are freelancers, agencies, people that have experience with things like Lifter, but also sometimes people use other tools in addition to Lifter, like WooCommerce or some marketing CRM platform. And there's a limit to how much support Lifter LMS can do when somebody has a question about how WP Fusion syncs data to ActiveCampaign or something like that. So this is where if you want to have somebody to help build your site or maintain it or customize it or help implement changes, that's what the Lifter LMS experts are for. We've also recently launched the Lifter LMS services, which is different from the experts. Those are currently on sale with the lifetime sale. So that's at lifterlms.com/services. And this is a very niche type of service where we do what we call stress-free website launch services, and basically build the foundation and launch the site for you either with demo content or with your content using our tech stack, our top tools, and the platform is ready to go. So that's something that is available right now as well. So just throwing that out there. That is on sale through today. But then the prices are going back up after our limited time lifetime deal offer. Those services packages, they're set packages. They also include a lifetime license for you. But I definitely recommend if you're getting in the weeds on the tech stack to work with a Lifter LMS expert. Check out the Lifter LMS website launch services and check that out. Kurt and Emily both have their own agencies on the experts page. So Kurt's is called Mañana No Mas. Emily's is called, I believe, WP Course Guide. Is that right? And so they work here at Lifter LMS, but they also have their own agencies and do stuff on their own as well. So check those out. And also, like I mentioned the unicorn, there are people out there that have subject matter expertise. They're very technical and they have WordPress and website and marketing tech figured out. They also know how to teach or coach. They also know how to build an email list and an audience and build community, or maybe bundle community in the product. And they're also entrepreneurs who know how to start and launch a business and do sales, marketing, product operations, and grow a team. But those are unicorns. The majority of people that are successful with Lifter LMS have not done it alone.
Yeah. Yeah. Having a team or being like not afraid to reach out for help, I think is key. Because when I first started, I thought I had to do everything myself. I thought I had to wear each and every hat. And then I realized there's things in business I can't stand. And I forced myself to do it or learn it. And I found it's just so much more efficient and profitable if I offload the stuff I don't want to do. Because believe it or not, as much as I hate it, there's somebody out there that loves it, which I find completely ridiculous. But like some people actually like working with spreadsheets. I hate spreadsheets. We have a question. You ready for some problem solving? I have a question. I launched a new course. To test it, I signed up with a 100% coupon. I got a confirmation by email. I'm listed as a student at the end of the course page, but when I try to access the course, it tells me I don't have access and need to sign up. What have I missed? There's a couple of things. I'll pass off to Emily for some feedback because we haven't let her really talk much today yet.
Let's see. So, hi, Nick. I think I was helping you like a couple weeks ago with the design of a new course. So this is awesome that you're getting it launched. So you're signing up with that 100% coupon. You get the confirmation email listed as a student. But when I try to access the course, it tells me I don't have access and need to sign up. So I remember maybe what could be going on. In Lifter, it sounds like you've done everything right. We were playing with like membership restrictions. So, and Nick says a new one. So this is even newer than that. But yeah, we were playing with membership restrictions. So the first thing that would come top of mind is there anything going on with a membership restriction? Because Lifter has a logic to handle when you enroll in a course, you have access to everything that course handles, but you also have the ability to make it so you can only view certain elements or certain pages based on membership or alternate course enrollment. So Lifter has that block visibility setting that I know we were working with a little bit. I don't know. This is an example where like maybe Lifter LMS office hours an hour from now on our live Zoom call would be a place where you could share your screen and we could take a closer look. I don't know if this is the place to share.
Is that a possible permalink issue?
You can always flush permalinks to try. Usually permalinks issues have to do with new link structures. So your Lifter LMS /groups and stuff. But yeah, always flush the permalinks and see if that helps. And flushing permalinks is going to settings, permalinks, and saving changes. I can show an example of what I'm kind of getting at here. So if I share my screen, what Kurt's mentioning here is settings, permalinks, and then just simply save at the bottom. This can flush your rewrite rules on your website and basically recheck what kinds of links you have available. But I would imagine, depending on the kind of message you're getting, for example, if I'm enrolled in this Lifter LMS Quick Start course here, I should have access to everything. So if I sign up, I should have access to everything immediately. But if I were to modify this and have some things that are membership restricted, that might be giving me a hard time with it. So could also be a caching thing. If you just purchased your course, it redirects you into the course. It says you don't have access yet. That could be a caching layer issue, which is like a hosting kind of issue. I don't remember if your host is like Bluehost or something like that, but that could be an issue with the caching on the hosting level.
One other idea I just want to throw out there is perhaps you set a course start date and you enrolled in the course but it doesn't start yet. it could be, I'm not sure. I'd have to see the message you're getting. But if you set a start date of July in the future, you would enroll, but you couldn't access it yet.
Yeah, that would be a restriction.
Yeah, I put the link in for caching resource. Whenever I expect to see something on the front end of the website that I don't see on the front end of the website, especially depending on what hosts and things like that I'm using, I'll flush the cache on the website. The other thing to look for is conflicting cache tools. Now that you have a dynamic website with dynamic content, you like, for instance, you don't want to have WP Rocket and Breeze on the same website. They can conflict with each other and cause display issues on the front end with caching. And so what I might do is purge the cache and then go back in and see, okay, am I seeing what I expect to see on the website? And if I am, that tells me I've got some caching issue in my setup, either caching on the site side or caching on the server side. And some hosts are really aggressive with their caching. It's a performance enhancement, causes the server to use less resources to show your website. But with dynamic content, we need the current content to be shown, not cached content to be shown. And so that caching can create that conflict. So I would try flushing the cache and then refresh the page and see if you still get that error about seeing the course. If the error goes away, then you've got a caching issue, again, either on the site or with the host. That was fun. Delphine says, regarding questions, sometimes a person may not know what question to ask, never mind how to ask the question. That's why I'm here to learn. You guys do a great job. Well, you're here all the time, Delphine, and we love having you, so that's good stuff. We've got a question from Mark. Mark says, question on single versus two-step verification. Is there an issue not having two-step verification for students in terms of security for the site or in terms of students sharing a login? One thing to talk about right off the cuff, Mark, and maybe Emily can pull up just a screenshot of this or show you where it's at, is we have a setting in LifterLMS that prevents concurrent logins. So if a student, God forbid, is sharing their login information, they can't be logged in at the same time, right? And so we have that concurrent login disablement feature. And if you look right there on the screen, that's going to show us, nope, where are we going? Accounts? Can't remember where it's at myself. There we go. It's under accounts, prevent concurrent logins, and then prevent current logins with the selected user roles. So let's say that you've got two instructors for some reason that are working together and sharing a login. You could just put students in if you wanted to do that. So that's one way to think about, students sharing logins and doing things like that. But I'm really interested to hear what people think about two-factor authorization. If I'm going to be honest, I just hate two-factor authorization. I hate creating friction for my users. The more friction I create for my users, the more friction I create for call center staff, for support tickets, for however you're running support for your audience, for your students. When you layer in friction, you also layer in complication and kind of that idea that you have to babysit whatever decision you make. So I hate it, but I'm interested to see what other people seem to think. Most importantly, Chris, because I'm giving my opinion on a call that he's in charge of.
I agree. It does increase friction. I think turning on concurrent logins or prevent concurrent logins is a great way to go. Also, perhaps think about not necessarily making your courses lifetime access as another way to kind of tighten things down. Security is a multi-step thing. LifterLMS also has an option for you to enforce strong passwords.
Yeah.
When you do that, that locks things down even more. I am a fan of two-factor authentication in general. It is a pain, like, when you're trying to log into all these apps and you have the Authenticator app or you're getting text messages and emails and stuff like that. But it can, tighten security. Most LMS website projects I see, though, they tend to not necessarily do the two-factor authentication and just do all the other security best practices. But it is possible to go down that road. We don't have an add-on for that. But for example, on the LifterLMS website, lifterlms.com, our e-commerce website, if you have a WordPress administrator level user account, and it might be all accounts, I'm trying to remember, there is a 2FA WordPress login thing that we just do for security. So it's really up to you how tight you want to make it. Just make sure, you don't frustrate your students or, like some LMSs, there's kids taking classes that don't have a phone. So like, think about that. If you have a two-step, two-factor authentication thing.
Yelling from the bedroom to the living room, "Hey mom, there should be a code on your phone."
Yeah.
I think it's really important. And I mentioned use cases like my favorite buzzword, Chris. I'm always like, what's the use case? So if you, and please, please, please don't be insulted about this, but like, if I have a course that is how to run, or a course that's how to ride a bicycle, or a course that is, crocheting and knitting and ceramics, do I really need to be concerned about security? I mean, if someone really wanted to steal my $49.99 course on, how to use a kiln to fire Christmas ornaments, I think I have a little bit of a paranoia issue. But if I have a course that I have created for an enterprise organization that is for a prototype motorcycle or a new version of a laptop that's coming out that's revolutionary, I think in some of those cases you think to yourself, well, yeah, that is proprietary information. Like, I think a lot of course creators are selling their approach or their level of communication to other people, not necessarily a proprietary idea. Like a lot of the training I do on leadership or speaking or project management, those kinds of things, I didn't reinvent the wheel and come up with something new that needs to be secured. I just present things in a different way. And I think what I'm really selling is access to me, like if I'm being just honest about it. So I don't really worry about security too much. I don't even worry about really hyper secure passwords. I'm like, let's pick a medium strength password. Come on in. If you're going to steal from me, you're going to steal. If you're a legit person, you're going to be a legit person. And I really kind of take a more laid back approach to it. But when I was doing the training for Ducati and they were releasing the new, the 1299, for example, no one knew the 1299 was coming out, but I had to teach the technicians about it, right? Or the Superleggera for Ducati. That had to be locked down. That couldn't be public information. I don't know. I think it's all use case derived. Oh, what else you guys want to talk about? We have 12 minutes.
Yeah. And just to mention, if you did want to do two-factor authentication, I think WordFence is one that makes it pretty easy in WordPress to add two-factor to users. And maybe Solid Security Pro, they had an integration with LifterLMS a long time ago. I know they also do two-factor authentication, but I don't know if it's like integrated with the front end. A lot of times when you do two-factor, you're going to be looking at the general WordPress login. So I have a lot of clients who designed the WordPress login to look like they changed the WordPress logo, they changed the background, so it looks all nice in the WP admin section, but then they can leverage the advanced features of security tools.
I also just want to mention LifterLMS has actually just done a really big security and spam prevention push. It's not released yet, but this is coming to all plans fairly soon. The development's done. It's in testing right now. And I also just want to highlight today we released a new version of advanced quizzes, a new version of groups, and a new version of the Sky Pilot theme. So we're in a cycle right now where we've just built a lot of things and now we're releasing a lot of things. So, definitely keep tabs on the LifterLMS blog and your WordPress websites, update available stuff and make sure your license is current. So check that out.
Nice. Mark follows up. He says, thanks. My 12 courses certificate is graphic design, but like WordPress, you have to have it or it'll get cracked, at least in my experience. It's awesome. Clemen has an interesting question. Clemen Vidic, I hope I'm saying it right. Do you plan to implement VAT? We get this question a lot. And so now I'll put you right on the spot there, Chris. Do you plan to implement VAT in the invoicing process?
I'm aware of the need that folks in the European Union are wanting VAT. It's not a top priority right now, just with all the LMS focused stuff that we're building and releasing right now. But you can do it now today if you use the LifterLMS integration with WooCommerce, and they have VAT. They have a much more complex tax management VAT system that you can use, and LifterLMS integrates seamlessly with WooCommerce through our WooCommerce integration. So I'm aware of that. And also, you know, sometimes it's not just VAT, there's other tax situations where sometimes if you know you're going to have extra taxes, you can just increase your prices and you'll have the money to pay the taxes and just handle that and on your side or whatever. But yeah, not an immediate solve from LifterLMS from VAT, but it's actually already solved if you use the LifterLMS WooCommerce integration through Woo's ecosystem of tax and VAT management.
Yeah, the WooCommerce thing, a lot of folks will manage the VAT through WooCommerce, but then a lot of people really don't like the added complexity of WooCommerce. So that's like the thing that is the stumbling block with Woo. I avoid Woo every chance I get. But unfortunately, there's just certain use cases where you need that extra functionality, right? Like you're selling hard goods, you're shipping something, coordinating with other payment gateways besides Stripe and PayPal. There's just a ton of reasons why you need to implement Woo. And it's nice to know that there's still the option to go the Woo direction if you have to absolutely do the VAT and the tracking and all that.
And you can also use like upsell plugin if you didn't want to go all the way to WooCommerce. They do VAT. Like upsell plugin is an e-commerce driver that's simpler than WooCommerce, but offers you some more advanced e-commerce, but not necessarily like the same wild card features you might find. I think they might have a cart too, but I just find upsell plugin simpler for people who don't want to drive the hard to maintain but very powerful car that is WooCommerce.
Yeah.
Link to that in the chat. I did a webinar with the creator of Upsell Plugin, and he did a demonstration of the product and how it works with LifterLMS. So I'll put that in the chat.
Cool. All right. Well, it looks like Dennis is new to LifterLMS. Says, I'm using LifterLMS to build my first website. Well, that's pretty deep for a first project. Welcome to the team. How do we know that the e-commerce portion will work? Can the experts test that for me? Something to understand, Dennis, is that as soon as you start saying experts, you got to start thinking budget, right? Like someone's going to want to get paid. You don't need to pay anyone to test your payment gateway. Just to be upfront and straight and honest with you. What I do with my projects is I have a Gmail account, kurtvononen@gmail.com. Super simple for me, right? I don't use it a ton, but I use it for testing. And so because it's a Gmail account, I can do that Kurt Von Onen plus test, right, at gmail.com. That creates an automatic alias, and then it sends all the results to my Gmail. Remember that every user in WordPress needs an email, right? So by using the alias tool in Gmail, I'm able to create an unlimited number of aliases that go to a common inbox. So as a developer, if I dare call myself that, I use those alias emails, and I typically put the date in them. So I would put Kurt Von Onen plus test July 3rd, 2025, blah, 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 at gmail.com, right? So now I know it's unique. By the way, don't test with my email. That you would never see the results, right? So don't start using my email like that. Use your own email like that. But then create yourself a coupon that's 99% off, or sell something for $1, right? And then just run through the process with the payment gateway activated and make that purchase for $1. and make sure it goes through. I recommend that everyone does that for any website that they're working on, because you want to know what the user experience really is. You want to see what the confirmation email is, the notification, the engagements. If you've integrated with a CRM tool, you're going to want to see, like, did the onboarding funnel initiate and do what I expected it to do? Like, you want to test the entire user experience as a user whenever you create a dynamic site project. So this is a really good way for you to do that, and you won't have to pay anybody to do that. Thanks, will do. Thanks for the info, Dennis. No worries, no worries. Always fun to do that. Chris had the link in there for, it's a YouTube link. I'm going to leave that up for a little bit in case you're writing something down. But youtube.com and then / the watch, right? So it's the demo of the upsell plugin with LifterLMS. In the meantime, I'm going to tell you what Kate wrote in comments. She has a question. It says, possibly a dumb question. Kate, no question is too dumb. Is it possible to have a non-admin coach role for online coaching? Our president does a fair bit of direct live coaching, but he's not at all a technical person, even more hopeless than me. I would not be able to navigate the back end of a WordPress website. So I think that is a really great thing to bring up. First, a couple of things. There are instructor roles. There are assistant instructor roles. There is member. There is student. There is LMS manager. There's a bunch of roles that come with LifterLMS directly out of the chute. Tell you what, Emily, I'll go grab the link for roles and capabilities and put it in comments. And if you could talk about kind of the roles and what you would do in her situation, that would be great too.
Yeah. So there are some roles and capabilities in LifterLMS that are beyond the student and beyond the instructor role. Usually when we think of WordPress, we think of the WordPress admin and then the site visitor. WordPress introduces some basic user roles like subscriber for people who subscribe to your blog, but LifterLMS then introduces, I think, 4 more. We have student, instructor, instructor assistant, and maybe LMS manager. And so you might want to add your coach as like an LMS manager. Depending on what features you're thinking about using. You had mentioned private areas earlier, and I think private areas is one that might be accessible to website admins only. I don't know. We don't need to quote me on that. Let me try it.
That actually changed with the recent LifterLMS private areas release.
Dope. Okay.
So teachers can have their own private area with the students.
Yeah. Okay. That's really awesome. So that is now super great. So if we have an instructor role, who's might be how you want to create your website owner, who you don't want to have a field day with the plugins and themes on your website, but that they should have access to certain course materials and certain students. If we switch to this user here, who is now an instructor, we can see they have access to private posts. Like Chris said, this is now available for instructors to add private posts and send them to students, which is a really, really awesome feature. So your coach can interact with students one-on-one. And then they can also create course content. If you don't want them to be able to create course content, you might want to like relegate them to certain course access by making them an instructor assistant and selecting them onto specific courses that they're allowed to edit. So I think LifterLMS has the user roles out of the box that you need. There's also the option to create custom user roles with custom user permissions. We recommend avoiding this if you can find a user role that works out of the box, but I would recommend instructor or instructor assistant for this this person who we want to make sure doesn't accidentally click on the wrong thing and delete something important.
All right. Well, I have to jump to a podcast recording right now, and I know we're coming up on the hour, but I want to encourage you, if you're watching or listening, today is the last day of the LifterLMS lifetime sale. There is over $2,000 worth of bonuses included in that. So please check that out if you're interested. And also I want to thank everybody for being here, and thank you, Kurt and Emily, for the great call.
No worries. That's it. It wraps up another awesome week. We'll see you next week for the Ask Us Anything call. On behalf of Chris, Emily, and myself, have an awesome day.